regreso pa' Panamá. Se viste de fiesta, el balón va rodando, la esperanza se acelera. Oe, 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 oa. La marea roja siempre grita Panamá. La marea roja siempre grita.
All right, here we go, guys. It is now just about game time. 6:45 Eastern time. It is 5:45 down in Panama, and in Toronto, of course, it's 6:45. So we are getting ready to watch that big game, Panama versus Ghana. Very, very excited for that. Really looking forward to what Panama has to show. We got a chance to see the other two teams in the group just a little while ago, England and Croatia, which was a great game as expected. And so now at least Panama and for that matter, Ghana are going to be able to scout these guys, see what they're all about. But let's focus on the Ghana and Panama. You know, great game coming up. It's the first time for Panama in what, 8 years, I guess. 2018 was the first time and last time that they've been to the World Cup. So this is a big change for them, or a new experience again. 8 years is a long time between teams. Interesting thing, when they went in 2018, it was they were considered a veteran team then, right? They weren't the oldest team, but they certainly weren't a young team, and they've kept a lot of that core together. That core's been through quite a lot the last 8 or 10 years, where they've really stepped up their game and become a recognized team in soccer, in international soccer. And this is kind of like the end of the road for a lot of those guys. This is their last hurrah, and it should be hopefully a good one for them. Their qualifying was great. Panama had a fantastic qualifying. They had to take it down to the end, and it wasn't an easy qualifying. But the interesting thing was that, towards the end there were certain things that Panama had to do, and they did step up, and one of them was score goals. So, that really bodes well for them going into this tournament where, they're going to really need to step up. They're in a tough group. There's no ands, if, or buts about it. England and Croatia are certainly two world-class teams, but as we talked about this several months ago when Panama qualified and when the groups were actually put out there, that obviously England is a great team. They're one of the favorite teams this year, and they certainly showed it today. But Croatia is a team it's a bit of an aged team, right? It's had a lot of success, but kind of like Panama in a way, they've held on to these players for a long time, and it showed today in that game against England. Where the first half, although England was the better team, it was pretty much an even game for the most part, and whereas the second half, England was just completely dominant, and Croatia ran out of gas there. So, this is not a friendly environment to a lot of these players. This type of heat and humidity is not something they're used to playing in, right? And most of these guys that ply their trade in Europe are typically off during the summertime. And so this type of heat and humidity is not something they're accustomed to. And obviously, guys born and raised in Panama know everything about playing in heat and humidity. So, that may play a factor as well. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. When we think about England, or not England, we think about Panama and Ghana, and we think about their qualifying runs. There's a couple of things that we've talked about previously on a couple different episodes of this, where we've discussed Ghana's propensity to lose their cool and lose their head in a game, right, and end up getting yellow cards and things of that nature. And you don't want the game to devolve to that. But the thing about yellow cards that a lot of people don't understand is you're limited to substitutions, although it's 5 now. It's kind of ridiculous, but because you're limited to substitutions and you can't freely switch people around like you do in a lot of other sports. When you get a yellow card, it really makes things difficult for you, and especially for your coach, because now there's an issue that if you make another mistake and get a second yellow, it turns into a red. You're out of the game, and unfortunately you're down a player. So sometimes that may restrict the way people play, and so it's I guess they call it the dark arts, right? When you sometimes make sure that you get them out of their game in a sense. But I think Ghana's going to maybe hopefully be a little bit more disciplined in that situation and try and play a tighter game. They do have some players that have experience playing in Europe and in England. But again, they do have that. I think they had the most yellow cards in qualifying in Africa, in AFCON or whatever the case is. But that's certainly something to look at. But more importantly, with when it comes to Ghana, you look at the managerial change they made. They made a change very, very late. In fact, Carlos Quiros, who has a great pedigree. The guy's been around football for many years, both on the international level as well as coaching club football. In fact, he was Alex Ferguson's assistant at Manchester United for many years under all those very successful years. And so he did do a lot of good things, at United, where he is a very technical coach. But one of the things that people don't often realize when it comes to international soccer is that these coaches don't have a lot of time to work with players, right? Even during qualifying, throughout the entire year and a half of qualifying, they're getting these players for 2 and 3 weeks at a time, in sparse periods throughout the season, right? The vast majority of the time, these players are playing with their clubs, they're training with their clubs. And so oftentimes, coaches don't come in and put in a big radical or technical system in place with that short of notice. And especially in a situation like this where he's been appointed really late in the season. So even in these brief get-togethers, they haven't been working on the system that he brought in. So I think that might bode well for Panama, that there may be opportunities to exploit this situation where these guys are playing in a system that they're maybe not familiar with, right? That being said, the biggest news I think for Ghana is that one of their midfielders, Thomas Partey, who plays for Arsenal, which is the English champions, a great team. He's a very good player. He has some legal troubles in England and the UK. And so, therefore, the Canadian government did not let him in, right? And the Canadian government even protested, got involved, and spoke to the Canadian officials, but they said no, can't do. And so he's a big part of their midfield, and that's the one area where if anybody was looking at what Ghana's chances were versus Panama, they have a strong midfield, and he's one of the driving forces there. So he's going to be missed there. That may be an opportunity to take some of the pressure off of the Panamanian defense there. So that should be interesting. On the flip side, Panama news. There was a lot of rumors going around that Carrasquilla, who's their playmaker, was injured and may not be playing in the first game. And then the latest news we had heard, second latest, was that he was in fact going to play, but he wasn't 100%, so he would start on the bench. And then today we're getting quotes from TC, from Thomas Christensen, saying that the whole squad is healthy and that he's going to play the squad that he wants to play. So not sure where we stand with that. If that is in fact the case, that's great news, because he really is a playmaker for that squad. But either way, it's. I think what Panama is going to be looking at doing with a team like Ghana is this is their opportunity to take it to a team, right? Against England, certainly you're going to more than likely park the bus, right? You hate to go into a game to avoid losing, but when you're looking at a team like England, unless it's a must win for Panama because of previous matches, I'm hoping and based on what I've seen so far, Panama may be in a position where even a draw on their third game against England might be enough to get them through into the knockout stage, which would be amazing. And I'm thinking that England, the way they look today, I think will rest players in that third game if, in fact, they do win the group by the second round or the second match. So that bodes well for Panama. But I think Panama's best chance of getting at least 1 point, if not 3 points for sure, is this game tonight against Ghana. Okay, this is a team that they can beat if they play, they play the right game and they play the right setup against them. Let me get this going here because I don't want to miss the kickoff of the game, or for that matter, even the national anthems and all that. But anyhow, I think this is the game that you will see Panama really, really come out and push to try and get that win. I really think that they recognize this as their best opportunity. Next week they play Croatia, and Croatia's going to look to bounce back. That was a big loss for them tonight. And hold on, there it is. Bear with me. All right, sing the national anthem. Here we go.
Power on. Bluetooth mode.
Yeah, so I think Croatia's going to look at next week's game as the game to get back into this, and if somehow England can slip up somewhere, they might still be able to get that first place spot. But either way, I think that I think it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing does play out for them. But Panama, again, going into tonight's game, if they can get one, if not 3 points off of Ghana, they're in a really, really good position here to go further along. Croatia has shown that they, although they are certainly a squad that's, it is a quality squad. There's no ands or buts about it. But if you can keep, stay in that game, if you can defend and maybe play a counterattacking game, I think you have a good shot against Croatia. They've shown again that second half that they may run out of steam. And yeah, even though Panama is old, if not, I mean, they are the oldest team in the tournament right now. They understand and know how they're better conditioned to play in that kind of weather. So that may bode well for them. And I think kind of Croatia, they may have, blown a lot of their gas or used a lot of gas in today's game, right? That was, best case scenario for Panama was Croatia playing England first. And that's exactly what happened. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But the lineups that we're hearing right now, we're not sure if these are the actual lineups or not. But one of the ones that did, I guess you could call it, leak out was, hold on, let me see here. Where is it? This is the lineups that we were looking at for Panama, Mosquera in the back. Then they had Cordova, Ramos, and Andrade, back three. In the midfield four. They're set up in a 3-4-3. But understand, guys, when it comes to soccer, formations are not held for a very long time. Okay, there's something that you put in, and oftentimes you play several formations depending on the situation, depending on how play is carrying on, right, and developing. And so, with that being said, four in the middle, Blackman, Martinez, Harvey, and Murillo is who they're talking about there. And Blackman, Murillo on the outside, pull back and make it a back five when teams are attacking. Right, when they play England, you certainly will see those guys playing back a lot more and really just parking the bus and avoiding losing the game more so than trying to go out and get a win and maybe get a lucky break here and there to counterattack to try and score. But that up front, they're looking at Rodriguez, Waterman, and Barcenas, which is a good team there. We don't see Carrasquilla there, but then again, this is these are speculative lineups. Let me look and see what we've got here on because the teams are taking the field now, so we're going to know for sure here in a moment. You used to be able to tell when they marched out because they would only bring out the starting 11. Right, everybody else would just kind of wander off into the bench. But now they have this whole World Cup thing where they actually bring the whole team out, and everybody gets participation. So kind of garbage. But okay, so Ghana, they have Jordan. The only ones I can tell you, Semenyo and IU are very, very strong players. Okay, but one of the things that teams have figured out when it comes to players like that, if you don't let them get the ball, they can't harm. Right, and that's really where Panama's best bet is going to be, is not to try and play strong against these guys, although you certainly are going to do that. But you're looking at more so defending and not letting you get the ball. Okay, so let's look and see what they have here. So, yeah, there is no Carrasquilla in there for Panama. Mosquera, Cordova, Andrade, Ramos, and Blackman. That's what we had here. Murillo, Harvey, Martinez, Blackman. Yeah, Murillo, Harvey, Martinez, Blackman, Rodriguez, Waterman, Barcenas. So, yeah, that's their starting lineup. It's a good, strong lineup. They don't have that creative force of Carrasquilla, but nonetheless, I think it's a good lineup for them to have. We're gonna go ahead and do that coin toss here and get started. But again, guys, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a good match here. If you're on live, throw something in the chat. Yes, indeed. I just pulled the chat. They've never seen some proud, and that's the really, really cool thing about the World Cup is that whole pride thing, that whole pride of singing for your team and whatnot. And that's a really big deal for some people. I remember in 2018, I was on a cruise on Carnival, and I ended up raising a big stink and getting free Wi-Fi and stuff out of them because they promised to put the game on, but the captain was Italian. And because Italy didn't qualify, they weren't going to air the game. I was livid. But they finally went ahead and put the game on in the barn. And I remember I shed a tear when they were singing the national anthem, because that's a really big deal, and there's a lot of pride there. So that is really cool to see that happen. I'm excited for it. And yes, vamos Panama. So let's see what happens here. There's Toronto Stadium. I'm looking forward to going there. I'm leaving Sunday night. My son and I are traveling up there. We'll get in there really late at night, almost 1 o'clock in the morning when we arrive. But we'll be there for the game on Tuesday and then fly back Thursday. So I'm really, really excited to catch a World Cup game. It looks like it's raining out there. Okay, interesting. Not sure if that favors them or not. It certainly makes the ball move a lot faster. That's for sure. So I'm sure they'll be aware of that. If you grew up playing soccer in Panama, you know all about playing in the rain. But all right, well, let's see what happens here. Marea Roja, if you're watching, throw in your predictions in the chat. See what your thoughts are and see what happens here. But this is Panama's second World Cup appearance. Exciting times, guys, and this is a good team. Panama's got a good team, but they will be challenged in this group. So I am going to be positive. I said this even when they announced these groups 6 months ago, that I was optimistic that Panama might be able to pull off that second place if they can even take a draw with Croatia next week. But let's worry about tonight's game here with Ghana. So here we go, starting off, and go Panama. So the thing when people ask about these formations, they have a 3-4-3 formation, but what you'll see then is some of these guys, like now they've got three in the back, but the guys that are playing the wings, Blackman and Murillo, number 2 and number 23, you'll see them start dropping back and protecting. But that's depending on what Ghana's doing. And right now, Ghana's kind of letting them, play out of the back a little bit. So we're going to see how that develops. But there's that pressure that turns it over. And now these guys start flowing back. See, number 2 starts pulling back. Now he becomes that outside defender. And this is now when they become that they're not in that 5-person formation here. And this is why sometimes it's difficult to see look at a team in a formation, understand how they're going to play, because it's very situational, right? Think of it like in football, right? Third and long, you bring in 3 wide receivers, right? And third and short, second and short. It's a whole different formation. You do the same here in soccer, except you use the same people. You don't switch people out. You just move people around in different ways and set stuff up. But here we go. Okay, so Panama, one of the things that Panama does rely on, and they did really well in their qualifiers, was play that outside, use that outside speed to really move fast and take advantage of the overlaps. And if you watch the game today with England and Croatia, that's what England was doing. All of their attacks were starting from the outside and sending the ball in, which is it's old style soccer. It's great to see it coming back, because for a long time now you've seen, with the Spains and Barcelonas for the last 15 or 20 years that have kind of redefined the game. And there it is. Oh, shot on goal. Oh, great shot. Shot on goal for Panama. Nice save by the keeper there, but a nice shot from Panama. They're putting the pressure on. They're keeping the ball on that side there. But here we go. Look, they got the ball back again. Good pressure there. Looking good. So they're keeping the ball. They're moving the ball to the outside again. They're looking for some outside passing. Keep it fluid there. And Ghana, they are setting up to defend. They're not pressing Panama that much, which I think bodes well for Panama, because there's a lot less running when you're doing that. But they are keeping them busy, and they're playing some good ball movement here, some good crisp movement, keeping that possession, switching it now to the other side. So this is going to be a good game for Panama. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. It is early on in the game, but I like that Panama is taking the game to them. Okay, they're not looking at this game as something they're going to sit back like, let's face it, Panama has for many years been an underdog, right? They're a new country to the world soccer game. Okay, they don't have nearly the length of time out there that some of these other guys have had. So, by the way, guys, that ref camera view that they show in the World Cup is pretty awesome. They've done a really great job with that. They must have some kind of a stabilizer on it, because these guys, when they turn and look, it's pretty cool to see how they follow that when they're just following that shot that the guy took, which is a pretty quick shot. Looking good. So yeah, I'm liking what's going to happen here, guys. What do you guys think? You think Panama will score in first half? What do you think the score will be at halftime, based on what you're seeing right now in the first 3 or 4 minutes? Let me know there. Again, they're moving the ball really well. They're keeping possession, which is important. And let's see here, but. Ghana is one of these teams. The teams in Africa. One of the things that is I guess kind of gets people a little overconfident, especially if you don't follow soccer, is that a lot of the guys in playing for these national teams here actually grew up in Europe playing soccer. It's interesting to see. I think it was, there you go. Samantha says 2-1. Okay, 2-1 for Panama. I like it. Right on. Yeah, I can dig that score. Um, I think it was last night's game, no, France-Senegal game. There was probably half the Senegal team was born and raised in France. It's kind of crazy, right? FIFA has strange rules. That's why there's a couple of Zodian kids that have in the past and are currently playing for Panama. And the eligibility goes down to the second generation, right? So like my grandkids could play for Panama because I was born in Panama, right? And because my mom's Panamanian, and so you see that a lot. I think it was Algeria, right, who played Argentina yesterday. I don't think a single player on that squad was from Algeria. It's kind of crazy, but that's interesting, and that's what sometimes these African and North African teams sometimes are a little bit okay. Look, Panama's and they're peppering that box, guys. It's only a matter of time if you keep doing that. But some of these other teams, you don't expect them to do that well. But if you watch soccer, year in year out, and watch club soccer, the Premier League and the French league, the Spanish and Italian leagues, and so forth, you'll start recognizing these names, and these guys are actually very good, quality players. And they just, in fact, most of them didn't even grow up in those countries playing soccer. But anyhow, let's. I'm really loving the first 6 minutes of this game. Panama is totally taking possession here. Okay. And that was kind of a strange play there. Guy was backing up, and the keeper basically climbed his back to get to the ball. But hey, he's entitled to the ball too, I guess. And so play must go on. And so now Ghana has the ball, but they're not getting a whole lot of possession. I like this tactic that Panama's putting in. It's not really a press per se. It's almost like Ghana is the one that's dictating, not trying to push too hard. But which, hey, if you're gonna let Panama rest up, that's not a bad thing. Being that you're playing, you're the oldest team in the competition. You don't want to be running up and down the field like you do in England. But there's one of your Premier League players that looked like that was, I believe that was Semenyo on that run on the outside. And these guys are, they play the ones that play in England. Those guys are used to running up and down the field. It's nonstop. If there was ever a country that plays soccer that would be emblematic of like Zonians, it would be the English soccer leagues. Okay, I mean that is up and down the field nonstop. It is hard nosed. It's rough. There's a lot of speed involved. It's a lot of fun to watch. I thoroughly enjoy it. Being Manchester United fan, but it's just the English games are just a great game to watch. And I think it, like I said, I think it is kind of what Zodians are like. But all right, 0-0, 7 minutes into the game, and so far the threatening team has been Panama. They've had a couple of shots on goal. One was a really quality shot that the keeper had to actually make a save on. And for the most part, Panama seems to be dictating the game. It's still early in the game. We're going to see, but that's the other thing when I was looking at these lineups earlier and trying to just kind of get an idea of how they match up. One of the things you can do is look and see where these guys are playing, right? And I would argue that the Panamanian League is probably a little bit bigger maybe than the Ghanaian League, I would assume. But as is the case with most of these smaller countries, you're looking at where these guys play outside of the country to kind of really gauge at what level they're at, right? And so, looking at Panama's lineup, with you take, for example, a Waterman. Let's see, Waterman here. Blackman plays in Bratislava, in Slovakia. Okay, so he's plying his trade in Europe. And so there again, they may be familiar with some of these players here. Barcenas, let's see, he is plying his trade in Mazatlan. Okay, so he's playing in Mexico. Mexico's a pretty good sized league. There's some good money in Mexico. It's one of the bigger leagues out there. Certainly in the Americas, it's one of the bigger leagues out there. So again, it kind of gauges the level of play that you have there. Rodriguez, he plays for FC Juarez. So again, he's playing in the Mexican league. So, these guys are certainly playing, at a skill level. Some of these guys. Okay, that was a nice cross. That was a very nice cross on the other side of the field. But then again, you look at some of these guys that are playing on Ghana. You guys play at Wolfsburg. That's a big club in Germany. Villarreal is a Spanish club. Rayo Vallecano is a Spanish club. Leicester City, an English club. I mean, every one of these guys is playing, in a probably first or second division team in Europe. So these guys have skills, no doubt about it. But remember understanding the international game and understanding that your teams, when they walk in there, they come in from club play. They typically play basic formations. They typically play basic tactics because they don't have a lot of time to work and practice and set things up. So this is where I'm thinking that maybe an advantage to Panama that Ghana brought in, Quito so late, and he did bring a big, somewhat complex system. He's always been known as a very technical coach. So that may bode well for Panama in that, they can maybe catch these guys on some mistakes. And there have been some areas where Panama's had some open players. So, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But let's see how things go here. 10 minutes into the game, Panama is looking good. All right, let's see what we got here. Still keeping possession. That's great. Even when they're working backwards, they're keeping possession. There definitely is a team that you can tell has been working together. And that was one of the things that, you say that Panama being 30 years old, average age, or being the oldest team in the tournament right now, is certainly a negative. Of course, you can't argue. I mean, time does slow you down. But the flip side to that is that when you've been playing together for so long, you're in sync. You work together. Sometimes that when you turn your back and go this way, that somebody's got your back, right? And you develop a lot of trust and a lot of you play a lot easier that way. So that's I guess the other side of that coin of having a team that's been around a long time. And that was, you can't argue with their qualifying. They played really, really good football in their qualifying games, and so he stuck with that team. There's a lot, it's been a lot of talk about some players that didn't make the squad. The biggest name out there was Kadir Barria that didn't make the squad, but this guy's gotten into this place. Had a lot of success with this team and really grown the team into a powerhouse, right? A team that was, the best team in Central America, bar none, for the last year and a half, 2 years. And so, you got to trust his instinct. Look at that. That was a nice cross. Panama just sent it back into the box again. And they got a corner now, so. Oh, it's a throw-in. No, it's a throw-in. Okay. Keeping that possession, keeping the pressure, and they're moving people forward there. It is raining, which is interesting, that humidity. I'm not sure what the climate is like in Ghana. I would imagine it's probably very similar to Panama, so I don't think the weather is going to be an advantage to one or the other, or a disadvantage for that matter. But I think it'll come down to discipline. Okay, see, now this is where Ghana becomes dangerous, is the individual skill. Like right now, they just put great move. What a great shoulder he just put out on this guy. Absolutely. That's how you do it. That's black man coming back, that wing back coming back. They just sent a long ball down to the right side, and he just shouldered this guy off that ball. Perfect play. And the ref was right there. He indicated, play on, man. Good move. That's what you like to see. That's what Panama's all about right there. And there again, that's that example of that 3 in the back, but it quickly turns into 5 in the back, because that was one of the 2 outside guys that's playing in that midfield and pulling back for that back 5. So it seems to be working. They're moving the ball well. They're playing with confidence. That's the one good thing about Panama. In previous occasions where I've seen Panama, even in their successful games, like they did in some of their qualifiers, one of the things that I noticed about Panama, which was a little concerning, was that, although they were winning and scoring goals, a lot of it was based on breakaways or just a great individual play. It wasn't based on purposeful buildup and purposeful movement and passing, and especially bringing the ball back, right? Panama, one of the things that they were notorious for is as they started gaining possession on teams, they would oftentimes turn the ball over deep in the other team's territory when they're trying to get into those scoring positions. And a lot of that is coming from just forcing the ball, not really executing to that level and having that confidence and that movement depending on your teammates. And that's what you're seeing here now, right? They're sending the ball back and bringing it forward again, right? Regroup, make it happen again, pull the defense out a little more, create some more space. So it seems to be working right now. They haven't scored yet, but they're certainly the driving force. So I hope it continues this way. It's another ball up the middle there. They are still, every so often fall back to that long ball, and so you guys get a good run, and they'll try to send the ball down to them. But never really been a fan of the long ball game, right? It's a lot of times it's 50-50 to give them the ball. It's almost like getting the ball by your goal line in football and punting the ball and then hoping to go downfield and get a turnover, right? Now there seems to be more of a possession team and bringing the ball forward. So enjoy it, guys, because I don't think you're going to see a lot of this next week, and you certainly won't see it the following week against England. Those teams are definitely going to have more possession, but that's where Panama will have the discipline to the term is park the bus, right? Bring everybody back. Have 9 defenders plus your goalie, and then you have one player playing up a little bit. And if something happens, a breakaway, you just use your speed and get out there and try and go. That's what I think you're going to see Panama do these next couple of games. But right now, you have the freedom to move a little bit more. Although right now Ghana's got a little bit of possession there, but it's nice to see Panama, tightening up their formation as well. They're keeping them out, so. Let's see what they happen here. But Ghana does have a bit of possession here. And sometimes when you see that happen, guys, in a game, what you're seeing is a team, slowing down a bit, right? Maybe get a break, rest up a little bit. Don't keep pushing as much. Just slow the game down a little bit. If they have some possession, back it up. Let them get possession. Let them keep going. And then as your players get rested up a little more, then you start pushing and start running forward again. Stretch the field out some more. So. Now they got a silly foul here against Ghana. This is what I'm talking about. This lack of discipline. That right there is just lack of discipline. You do that enough times, and then you start hitting them back and really taking them out of their game. You're going to get a couple of yellow cards, right? And remember, guys, when you get a yellow card, you really impacts your game. Especially a defender. A defender, when you have a yellow card, you don't want to take a chance of diving in and maybe stopping a cross or sliding in. On somebody that's breaking away on the corners there. And so it's tough to do that when you have a yellow card because you're concerned that if you just mistime that by half a second and you miss the ball and hit the player, that's another yellow card or red card, you're out and the team's down a player. So, it really is a big game changer to do that, especially in these types of tournaments here. Right. And so, we're not seeing Panama, go to that tactic, but then again, they've had so much possession, they don't need to, right? They're not exactly having to go after the ball and chase down the other team. They're the ones that are dictating play and possession and movement. So I'm really, really liking this. TC's got himself a good setup here. So far, so good. And here, look at that. Nice. Another cross. Yeah, that's one thing I learned a long time ago. Don't let that ball bounce. When that ball's in the air, get it. Do not let it hit the ground. When you do, the other team catches up. Nice work there. Nice work, Panama. Nice work. Looking really, really good. We'll see what happens on their bench when they start pulling some players back. But one thing you're noticing now that Panama is, they're starting that build up on the outside like they're supposed to do, right? And utilize that speed. But now you're noticing that Ghana's leaving the middle a little bit more open. Right? They're starting to try and maybe bring an extra player to cover some of that outside speed. And now you're starting to see guys play through the middle a little more for Panama, which is really good news because that's how you'll really disrupt that backfield is they start pushing up in the middle, having those wings available to you. So right now, 60% possession for Panama, 36 for Ghana. I like it. They're doing it again. Oh, come on. Yeah, that's a hard one to get a call on, but he interfered. He was smart. They're making another run on the outside there, a back and forth pass, and he kind of gets in the way and disrupts the run. But they're entitled to that spot on the field as well. So it's smart defending. But we still keep possession. That's all that matters. As long as we have possession, they're not going to score. That's really the bottom line, right? And that's I guess checking box number 1. Don't get scored on, right? Box number 2, possession. Gain as much possession as you can. Box number 3, when you have the opportunities, finish them. So we've got 1 and 2 so far are doing pretty good. Let's just get that third box in there, and we did have 1 shot on goals already. So. All right, let's see here. Okay, I'm going to throw in for Ghana. It's interesting that Ghana is the one that's playing slow. I find that kind of odd here because they have to be thinking the same thing as far as long term in the group goes. You know, their first game when they looked at this group, they probably thought their easiest game was going to be against Panama, right? And then they're going to face Croatia and England, or England and then Croatia, and so you would think that they would be coming after Panama here, but I trust me, I'm not complaining, but it's odd that they really seem to be playing a passive game, or that it's just maybe Panama really is just has them figured out here. But just like what we're watching here, guys, the whole team is moving well. They're in sync. They're communicating well. They're moving well. They're keeping possession. It's looking really good. I'm impressed so far. Definitely impressed with these guys. Right. Yeah, let's go indeed. Right. Now let's get a goal too, right? How about that? That's the only thing we're missing right now. Okay. Tightening it up. I like that. There you go. Nice. Okay. Got a throw in there, but we're still keeping the ball. Nope. They're throwing. Oh, looks like it is ours. Okay. Yeah, there's Carlos Quiroz. Yeah, he was an assistant coach for Manchester United. In the late '90s, early 2000s, and when they were just, best team in the world, just about. But it's easy to do that when you're coaching a team that you have them every day at your practice facilities for 9 months. Right, you can work on a lot of very technical things that become that dominant team. But he's bringing that here to a national team that a lot of the leagues, guys, a lot of the club teams just finished their seasons a month ago, right? And so these guys played 9 months of club play. When you play for your clubs, you play in a lot of different tournaments also, right? You guys have heard of Champions League, and then you have your domestic cups. You have the Spanish Cup, the English Cup, all these different. So, these guys on your bigger clubs, your European players will typically play about 50 or 60 games a year, right? And these seasons all just ended mid-May, early May, mid-May, even some in late May. If you were, play for Arsenal, PSG, one of these teams that went to, some finals and Champions League finals and stuff, second and third week in May, you were still playing club ball, right? And so then you got done with that. You need a break, obviously. So you take 2 weeks off and relax. And then suddenly you show up, to play for your national team, and you have a couple of workouts and a couple of practices, but not really enough time to drill in these complicated types of formations and stuff. And that's what makes it a little bit difficult for a team like Ghana to have somebody with all that expertise and skill and technique. And really it's almost wasted in these types of situations, But anyhow, it's again, I'm not complaining that bodes well for Panama. But here we go. They've got possession again, and they're keeping it in the middle now. And they're going to go ahead and bring it to the outside again. This is what they're doing. It's just smart what they're doing here, guys. They're trying to, lure these guys to create space. Bring them to the inside, and then send the ball outside, use that speed, and then bring those crosses in, which is a great way to move the ball and create opportunities. All right, in the 23rd minute, it's still 0-0. It's Ghana's gotten a little bit tighter on their defending, but okay, interesting. There's no call on that, and Panama's going. Well, now they're going to stop play. Yeah, anytime there's a perceived head injury, they'll stop play. Okay, give these guys a break, get some water. Yeah, I'm not sure. Come on. Like he needs a break. Yeah, that was the right non-call. But then he's laying there holding his head, and that's what happened. When the ball went out of bounds, the ref now had to blow the whistle. So Panama still has possession. They're going to throw the ball in now. But because he was holding his head, the ref has to stop the game to check and make sure. And now they're going to do that water break, which something interesting about that. I was listening to a podcast today. You're talking about they were talking about the whole hydration thing in the World Cup and what's going on and why they're doing that. And they did it 4 years ago in Qatar as well. But oddly enough, it's more important to do that here than it was in Qatar because it's not the heat per se that's the danger. It part of it's the humidity. Okay, and the reason for that is that when it's humid, the reason that the body sweats is it's a cooling mechanism, right? And as the sweat evaporates, that's that drying effect, right? And that's that cooling effect. And so when you're in a humid environment where there's no evaporation, right, the body tends to start. It's still gaining heat, trying to get rid of it. And so what it starts doing is it starts pumping more blood to your extremities to try and use that to diffuse that heat. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Shot on goal. Love it. Oh, that was that first one. They're just recapping. But so that's the reason they're doing that is because what they're seeing is that, it is a detrimental thing. But what they've noticed is that, your smaller teams, and you've seen a lot of games where, who was it? Cape Verde that beat or drew with Spain and Spain hardly had any possession. They just played a really, really bad game. But what they're saying is that with these water breaks, what they're doing, it's giving these smaller teams that opportunity to cool off that body a little bit and get back into shape because it really is taking a toll on these guys, especially again the humidity, not just the heat itself. It's the humidity part that makes it really bad. But it is raining here, so I don't know if it's overcast and therefore maybe not as hot. Who knows? But again, growing up in Panama, you know what that humidity is like. It's brutal, right? And so, it's probably not a bad thing. The biggest controversy of all was that they're doing it in on the English speaking stations. When they do it, they break the commercial. On the Spanish stations, they just put a little border with a sponsor on it. But they're actually talking the game and watching, and so it. Just from the standpoint of one of the things I think that your football purists like your soccer purists is that the game never stops, right? It's always moving. It's you start from zero, you count up, and the clock keeps running until they blow the whistle, so it doesn't stop exactly at 45. And so when you have this stoppage of play, that to some people that's like, wait a minute, it's like a timeout or something, which you don't have in soccer. But and then when you turn around and go to commercial. It really throws your diehard fans. It throws them for a loop there because they're like, wait a minute, what do we do? Go commercial here? How do you do that in the soccer game? So that's why I always say it's better to watch these games in Spanish because the Spanish announcers they're so much better. I mean, the passion, the just the if especially if you know Spanish and you understand that they could certainly use just regular normal verbiage to describe the play, but the color and descriptive terms that they use in addition to just the excitement, the way they super roll the R and the long drawn out goal and everything, it's so much more exciting. It really is. If you've got them both, if you have access to both, Telemundo is the one that does it in Spanish, and you can get them on Peacock if you have NBC's Peacock service. But tune in Spanish, man. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more enjoyable. But so it looks like Ghana now has started to kind of switch gears a little bit, and they're starting to press a little bit more. Let's just see how Panama does to absorb the pressure here. So far, so good. I'm not seeing shots on goal. They're the ball's being pressed onto Panama's side more, but not necessarily resulting in anything of any kind of danger. So. Well, hopefully that keeps up, and again, maybe Panama slowing things down to get their breath and not, pull back for a while and then start pushing forward again. We'll see. But this has been something we've seen throughout this World Cup is that the tactics and the style of play, regardless of who it is, seems to change right after the water break. So, maybe there's more to it of the people complaining about it, or maybe some people are saying, hey, it gives more excitement to the game. I tend to like things the old way myself, in all honesty. But hey, either way, it's not bad. I'm liking it. Well, we don't want to see somebody collapse on the field or something like that. So, all right, Panama's got some position again, but now they're not getting the ball across midfield as much. And that's where you start to worry there, and now they start relying on this long ball. So now they send it all the way downfield. The keeper gets it for the other team and sends it back. And my poor dog, she's getting so old. She'll still bark at everything, but she won't get up for nothing, man. So wherever she's laying, that's where the barking takes place, and that's where it's going to stay. So, but yeah, let's hope that Panama does start picking stuff up here. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the water breaks, honestly. I know that they're necessary, and I know what they're doing it for, but it does take away from the game, because the game really it's a flowing game, right? And it's a game that you pace yourself for 90 minutes, right? The idea is that you're going to play 90 minutes. You're not going to stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. So, but like I said, it has added an interesting twist, because you've seen this a lot of these games where one team is dominating. They go on water break, and all of a sudden you come back out, and the other team is suddenly the one that's in possession and doing things. And now look at Ghana, all of a sudden is, look, 3 people around them. They're taking the ball away, and they're going right back after them. And now they forced a foul. This is interesting. Interesting how this change of tactics. We'll see how Panama adjusted this now. Because inevitably it can become a vicious cycle, right? Where Panama, because they're enduring more pressure, will start pulling some people back and maybe start trying to defend a little bit more, get a little bit more compact, which then lessens the pressure on Ghana and invites more of their own pressure. And so it can snowball if you don't position people right and start maybe getting some movement out of the box when you turn the ball over, not just send it back downfield and let them build up, play again. But this is one of these situations where it becomes a dangerous play. That they're going to get a free kick outside of the box. It's out far enough that it's still in distance that you could score a goal. You could go directly in. But look, he's going to curve it in. He's going to drop it in. But yeah, they defended, put the wall up pretty good. Well done. Nice work, Panama. Now they're going to drive them back out. Press them. Okay. Force a mistake. Well done. And that's what the pressure does right there. Pressure isn't always about winning, guys. You got to remember that. Even if you don't win the ball. In this case, he didn't get to the ball, but the guy forced a bad kick, and now Panama gets the ball back anyway. So that's exactly what you want to do. Rhythm, endurance, continuity, water breaks, steal from them. They do. They really do. And that's what they've been saying. I've read a couple of articles, and it's specifically mentioned that it throws a team off their rhythm. We don't often see the entire field out there, right? When you're watching it on TV, TV doesn't do it justice a lot of times. So when you see a team doing the same thing over and over, and you figure, well, why does the other team just put an extra person over there? Well, somebody is playing somewhere else that's causing somebody to pull out and create that space, and that's one of the things that when it comes to soccer, when it comes to possession soccer, one of your objectives to get to the point of being able to take a shot on goal. You work your way up by finding spaces and oftentimes creating spaces, right? When you bring somebody into a position to receive a pass, somebody has to come up and cover them, and oftentimes they'll leave that space behind them open, and that's what they're going to try and do there. No, I wish I could have gone to this game, Leaf. I put in for the lottery in February, and unfortunately, the only tickets that I won was the Croatia game, and I wasn't going to fork out $500 and $600 a ticket for nosebleed seats. For the other ones, and then I thought, okay, well, do I just go to Toronto anyway? I said, yeah, that'd be fun, but to spend a week there and hotels and meals and everything else to watch games on TV or on a big screen somewhere, just do it at home, and just fly out on Sunday. So my son and I would fly out Sunday night, and then we get to enjoy Monday in Toronto. Tuesday, go to the game, which is in the evening, which is awesome as well. And then Wednesday, enjoy Toronto a little bit more, and then Thursday morning, fly back to Tampa. So, but I'm excited for it. It's been a long time coming, man. 2018, unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to travel to Russia to watch Panama play. So I'm excited to go to Toronto. I would have loved to have gone to New York. I think Johnny McGee's might have tried to get tickets to go to New York. I don't know if he got those tickets or not, but if there we go. There you go, Panama. Oh, wait a minute. Is that? Man, this guy just got slammed from behind. Is there a no call here? Come on. Are they going to VAR? Come on, man. All right, I'll wait to see the replay on that. But, man, That was a great ball right up the middle, man. It looked like they were going to get into a scoring position. So interesting that there was no call there. So I'm looking forward to the replay. But they're attacking again. So now Panama's kind of flipped the switch back again, back to where they started. Okay, come on, keep it going, Panama. Looking good. Ooh, oh, that's a foul on. Oh, that Panama player just took out the keeper. Or was it his own player? Holy cow. Thank you. Sorry about that. I had a cough earlier. That's why I muted it. Damn. I'm not sure how long I was out. But no, so what I was saying is there's been some interesting changes to some rules for time wasting. Hold on, Pan. Let's try it again. There we go. Come back to the outside. Looking for that cross. Here it comes. Ooh. And that keeper, man, it comes flying out, man. There it is. Ooh. Oh. All right. Looking good, Panama. Yes, thank you, Miguel Ray. Absolutely, yeah, you did take care of that for me. Appreciate that. No, but what I'm saying is there's some time wasting things that they're doing now at in FIFA for the World Cup. One, oh, he got hit in the head, I think. One is on the throw-ins. You have 5 seconds to throw that ball in, or the ref will blow the whistle and give the ball to the other team. They'll throw the ball in now. So that's a big change. And here's what's interesting about that: the rule states that once you pick the ball up and you're ready to throw it in, you have 5 seconds to do it. So during the Scotland game the other day, the Scottish players got smart, and the guy was going to throw the ball in. He walked up, and before he picked the ball up, he's talking to his players, arranging and moving it around, setting them up, and then he picks the ball up. And so, you know, per the rules, you don't start that clock or that timer until they actually pick the ball up. So that was kind of interesting that they did that. The other one is on the goal kicks. Same situation. I think it's 8 seconds that they have. It's not 5. But same thing. If you take too long and you're waiting around like that, they're going to turn around and blow the whistle and give the ball to the other team as a corner kick. So it goes from a goal kick, which is a way to really get rid of the ball and get it downfield, to suddenly giving the other team a scoring opportunity. So that one, I haven't seen it happen yet in the World Cup, but that one could be a game changer. Because if you think about it, if you're down a goal, right, the other team tends to want to waste time. And so, therefore, it would make sense to try and stretch that out. And all of a sudden, if you get that ref that's tired of your time wasting, whatever, and counts it out and blows that whistle, and all of a sudden you turn around and where you're going to clear the ball and keep that lead, you now have given them a corner kick where it's a scoring opportunity. Okay, here comes Panama again. Nice. Oh boy. Ooh, they had that keeper out. Caught the keeper out. They got back in time. I love it. Panama is putting the pressure on them. They're definitely putting the pressure on them. And that's a little sloppy there. That's a silly way to get the ball away. Yeah, they're definitely relying on that speed on the outside. Panama is. Okay. Good effort to keep that ball in. And that keeper is limping. Okay, he may have to make a change. And he looks like he's signaling to the bench. So, yeah, they're double checking to see if that was offside. He was clearly onside. But yeah, that keeper came way out, halfway out his box. Dove and punched the ball out and left the net open. Unfortunately, Panama couldn't capitalize on it. But it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to play that with this keeper now. Now they know he's hurt. Okay, because now that you know that he's gimping a little, now you really want to start getting the ball outside of the corners and start sending crosses in. Start crowding that box. Start hitting this guy a little bit, bumping into him. There we go, some Panama fan. See if we recognize anybody. I always look around and see who you recognize there. I have a couple of my cousins are there. Who else? Rain and Reynaldo Roy are there. I know they're up in Toronto. I wonder if they're at the game. I'm not sure if they're at the game or not, but I know they're in Toronto. I saw Paul Hurst was there as well. So I'm looking forward to running into people there. Should be a lot. I heard there's like 25,000 tickets were sold, airline tickets to fly from Panama to fly to the game. So yeah, it looks like there's going to be a big Panama contingent there. And I did see also a really cool video from the. I'm not sure if it's the Panamanian Tourism Authority or the Football Federation, FEPAFUT, but they have like a whole greeting section in Toronto at the airport for Panamanians. It's really cool, and and I think maybe that's a World Cup thing where you're arriving for your country. There's someone there to help you, to show you where to do things. So look, they're coming out to give that keeper some treatment. Okay, and the other guy's tying his shoes. They're giving him instructions, so they may be making a keeper switch here. Come on, Panama. We got to capitalize on that now. Yeah, they look like they're icing the inside of his thigh, so they may have pulled something. They pulled a groin. It's not good in a World Cup tournament because you're playing every 4, 5, 6 days, and that's not necessarily enough time for that. And you would think that with a keeper, it's not that big a deal, right? Because they don't run around as much, but they got to jump, man. It's a lot of muscle there. Tommy and Senior Morris are going to a couple of games. Cool. That's awesome. I hope I run into them then. That'll be great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really, really pumped up about this. I'm so excited. Yes, he didn't look like a muscle tear there, but he certainly, he collided with the guy's back in his head, with his thigh and stuff. But wow, just can't handle it, huh? What happens when you play the Panamanians? Take it to you. Okay, well, they keep it. No, he's going out. Looks like, no. Huh. Well, they're warming the other guy up. Now let's see if he takes up his warm. No, he's staying in. Okay. Well, I guess what they're wanting to do is maybe not make a change before halftime. It is, the 43rd minute now, so maybe that's what they're going to do there. That should be interesting. Okay. Well, finish strong, Panama, because if he is hurt, you might want to try and force something there. There you go. Nice move. Heck yeah. There you go. Nice. Yeah, Panama's ball movement and ball possession has been really, really good. I've seen a big change from recently with Panama, the way they're doing this. It's looking really good. That was a nice tackle. 2 nice tackles, but we still keep possession. There you go, keeping it in there. All right, come on, Panama. Don't be looking for a foul. Let's play the game. And bodies flying everywhere. That's the way you end a half. Yeah, I don't know. I think the refs just really trying not to call anything, but there's a fine line between letting them play and just letting people blatantly commit stupid fouls. Yeah, I'm not sure that's a foul. Again, I'm not sure that's a foul either. Come on. All right. Well, in the 45th minute now. Let's see what happens here. Keep pressing him, Panama. Keep pressing this guy. Force him to kick. There you go. That's what I'm trying to do right there. Ooh, unlucky bounce there. Oh, nice pass. That's Semenyo, Antoine Semenyo. He plays for Manchester City. Great player, and you can see the quality of that pass there. Nice. The pass, the kick to nowhere. I don't know if he was trying to cross that or was that just a really terrible shot. But either way, Panama just look like they're going to try and play out the half now. Although they're going to probably have at least 3 or 4 minutes of stoppage time because they did give this guy some treatment for a bit. Yeah, look at this pass here from Semenyo. That was a good pass. Yeah, he was on. 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah, do you guys remember in the last World Cup, one of the big surprises, and it really was a lot of people would consider very unpleasant, for the game, was the amount of stoppage time they were given. I mean, these games they were being given 10, 12, 14 minutes of stoppage time. And what they said was, all the time wasting you're doing, we're going to bring it back at the end of the half. And so that's why you got to the 45th minute, and all of a sudden you're playing to the 53rd minute, 54th minute, because they're saying, well, wait a minute, you wasted, 9, 10, 11 minutes, 12 minutes walking around, taking your time for the throw-ins and all that stuff. And so they figured that's how we'll curtail that. But it didn't really work because all it did was give everybody more time. It basically just extended the game, right? Because you weren't really repaying the time. The game was still going on. You just were taking your sweet time throwing the ball in. So I kind of like this alternative that say, hey, you got X amount of seconds to throw that ball in, or the other team's going to get it. So I think you'll see the game times will speed up quite a bit. This all stemmed from, they did a study that started way back in like 2020, 2014, I think is when it first started looking at these studies. But to really figure out the impact of time wasting, they had the final study they did in 2020. What they realized was that in a typical, game like this, a World Cup game, a Champions League game, that for 90 minutes of soccer, they actually had about 25 minutes of playing time, which is ridiculous. 25 or 30 minutes. The rest of the time, they're walking around, looking at the throw-ins, they're tying his shoe and all that stuff. And so it really was getting ridiculous where, if for nothing else for the fan, you're paying to watch 90 minutes of soccer, you're getting 30 minutes of it. So, I like where they're going with this. I like that they're going to try and speed the game up and hopefully that this will make a bigger difference in the game. So we shall see. But I haven't seen, the rules being enforced yet. I mean, they are being enforced. You see the ref doing his counting. They do it both, verbally and, with hand signs. So that they're doing the counting down. But I don't think I've seen one where they've actually blown the whistle and turned the ball over because of time wasting. So, but then again, at the end of the tournament, you'll be able to look at stats and say how much was playing time versus, time wasting. And I think in the long run, it will be something that they'll say, hey, this is a good move. I think it worked. So, all right, there you go. Double team the guy. Stay on him now. Come on, that's all. That ball's out. Good pressing, Panama. I like that. Once you get somebody to the outside, you quickly got to close them in before they can get around because now you're only playing about a fourth of the field. You get them in that back corner, there's only one option for them to go inside or go back out. And so if you got two people there, you cut off all their passing lanes. But you got to do it fast. And that's what Panama did there. So this guy's done well. TC has definitely prepared this team really, really well. When they played a couple of weeks ago against Brazil in that friendly, all the noise was made about the ass kicking, right? Because it really was an ass kicking. But if you truly paid attention to the game and knew what you were watching there, it was it was an ass kicking in the second half. But in that game, he was putting in players to see, what his final squad's really going to look like, more so than trying to go out there to win a game. And so, therefore, you're putting in players to see how they're going to fit in this system. And obviously, it didn't fit too well. But, that was the objective here. Now, you look back at the first half, it was 1-1. They played a great game. They actually, held Brazil, possession wise. They gave up that early goal real quick. I don't think Panama was ready for that speed and that level of play. And Vinicius, this guy's just a very, very fast player, very skillful player. And he really quickly, showed them what he meant. But they recovered quickly. They scored a goal to tie the game, and they played a good first half. And then second half, they started bringing other players in to, again, do some evaluating, do some tweaking and stuff. Not so much play to win, but play to evaluate and play to prepare. And so, when a lot of people were saying, look, 5-1, oh my God, that's terrible. Panama's, going to do so bad, this, that, and the other. No, there was a method to the madness, right? The Dominican Republic came in, they probably did some tweaking there to try some things out. But, so far this game, it's looking good for Panama for the most part, although we've got a dangerous free kick coming here for Ghana way down on the Panama side. So hopefully they defend it well. But otherwise, we're right in the middle of it, too. Okay. Behind the Panama, there's that Panama flag. I love seeing that Panama flag. Somebody asked me earlier tonight if I had my Panama flag. I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. I said I might even take it and pull it up here if Panama scores. But and right now, if you were to ask me who's the most likely team to score based on what I'm seeing now, I would say it would be Panama. They really have been taking the game to them. But we shall see. We shall see. Looks like okay, there it is. It's halftime. So, first half, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. Go take yourselves a break, whatever. We will be back and watch the second half of the game. But so far, so good. Thanks, guys. Talk to you in a bit.
Where can I find El Fulo?
He's out there catch waves.
Hey, Fulo! Fulo!
Oh yeah, I know food. I'm a Steel Chef winner. You know the food competition?
Really?
Yeah, look, check out this video of my win on YouTube. The secret ingredient? Frozen shrimp. I'm gonna blow their minds. They're gonna be like, how did he do that?
Microwaved?
Trust me, dip it in the Howler Monkey Sauce Verde, you'll be blown away.
I love the balance of the garlic with the tang of the vinegar. I mean, it's classic. That's why it works so well with seafood.
Yeah. This combination of green habaneros and green bell peppers, it transforms the shrimp. Wow.
You were right. Dipping it in the Verde Howler monkey sauce, the combination of cilantro and sweet onions, man, that made a zero a hero.
Do you know a howler monkey who can describe the sweet heat of our original, with authentic ají chombo peppers, or the fresh punch of Verde, where habanero warmth meets crisp bell pepper? How about the bold tang of Amarillo, yellow Scotch bonnets blended with mustard seeds? And of course, our hot, the same great flavor as original, fired up with red habaneros for that fire. Our sauces are all natural, no preservatives, gluten-free, pure flavor and pure fire. Are you the next Howler Monkey spokesperson?
Okay, we're getting ready to start the second half now. So a good first half, guys. I mean, nobody scored yet, but Panama certainly has owned possession. They've had a lot of great buildup. They've used that outside speed quite effectively, had a lot of great crosses in the middle. They pulled back for a while, withstood some, pressure from Ghana, but at no point has Panama been threatened by Ghana at all. They played a really, really solid game, I think, on both sides of the ball. Obviously we want goals, but, soccer games, they're not double digit scores. There's a reason for that. It's because, the opportunities are a lot less in these types of games. We've had a couple of blowout games this World Cup, but for the most part, you've had low scoring games, which is typical in World Cups, right? There's a lot of skill there, especially, defensively. But I think overall, Panama's played a good, solid game. I think their game plan is working. They're the ones that are keeping possession. Keep the ball away from the playmakers, on Ghana's team, and that's what we've seen, this game. And again, Panama is creating opportunities. So keep going where you're going, Panama. I think this is a good opportunity here, and good opportunity to pick up points. Right at this point, they're looking at 1 point. I would say solidly they can get a point, but I still think that 3 points is doable here. And hopefully, the second half they'll do that. But all right, they started to kick the ball off and they brought it back. What did they do here? Interesting. What's going on here? Start it all over again. All right, here we go. All right. Round two of the first game. Second half now, 0-0. Panama's now attacking, going from left to right on the field there. There is a lot of empty seats there, which is interesting, but it didn't, it was halftime. There's probably people still, out doing their thing. It didn't look that empty earlier, so we don't walk them back here. But so far, so good. So let's again count on a good half. Remember, guys, that what we're looking for here, the opportunity here is, with this game for Panama, is pick up points. Pick up certainly 1 point is a must. If you could pick up 3 points, would be fantastic. Croatia now has a loss. They played a tough game today down in Texas. It's hot down there. They played a game against England. They chased the game throughout the game. At the second half, late in the game, Croatia was putting some attacks on, but wasn't enough. But they wore themselves out. So hopefully they're going to be tired. They like Panama. Croatia has an older team, and their play late in games in the World Cup hopefully is where Panama might be able to do something here. So having if they can pick up points here, hopefully 3 points from Ghana, they're in a good spot with Croatia where really they could just play a good, solid, slight possession game and more of a defensive game and just try and keep them out of the net. And if they can do that and walk out of the high. Going into the last game with 4 points, and hoping that England at that point has 6 points, which means they would be qualified to win the group. That they may rest some players, and then maybe Panama can park the bus and who knows, maybe get lucky, get a draw out of that England game. But I do think that 5 points in this group is doable. 4 points may even get you into the next round. Depending on again, tiebreakers is goal difference, and right now Croatia is down 2 goals in goal difference. So if Panama can pull up a win here, they'll have at least a 3 goal difference going into the Croatia game. So who knows? But we're gonna see what happens here. It looks like Ghana is coming out attacking now. This so far in this first 3 minutes or so, it's been Ghana with possession. They got a free kick now. They're putting the ball across the middle. It was a shot on goal. That was a nice cross and a nice header. Went to the keeper though, easy save, but it is a shot on goal. Now, keep in mind that Ghana did come out with a new goalkeeper in the back. Okay, so they switched keepers. Don't know how that would impact the game, but right now he's not. It's not playing. But we'll see. Okay. This is what I don't like. This is when they start doing this, and maybe it's just to send the ball back. But Panama now, look at that. That keeper just came way out there to send the ball, kick it out of bounds. All right, Panama has some possession in the other half now. First time they've done that. Let's see if they can do something with this. Nice cross, but nobody in there. Come on, Panama. Do better with that possession. This is what they did well in the first half was if the play wasn't there, bring it back, cycle it back around, and then bring it forward again. And so far, what I've seen is just 2 long balls, and hopefully they can keep a little more possession. But they do have the ball in their box, and they are possessing it that way. Nice cross. I'm missing the balls out of bounds. Should be interesting. I was reading some comments in one of our chats, and it's kind of funny to listen to some of these conversations and chats. And I watch soccer all year long. I'm a diehard Manchester United fan. I've watched the Euros. I watched AFCON. The AFCON's a great tournament, actually. Copa America and a lot of different tournaments throughout the year. And the vast majority of my friends and my circle of friends and groups that I'm with or involved with mostly follow American sports and very lightly follow soccer. But typically, they're the 4-year fans, right? They come out of the woodwork during the World Cup, and sometimes it's fun to hear the comments or read the comments and just you put them into perspective, right? Like that cross where the guy headed the ball in there. You hear things like, it's really in the right position. You had 5 people around him. The guy just elevated and got a great cross, and the guy got put a head on it. But it was, everybody was in the right positions. It was just one of those that they got through. But Panama's been playing a good, solid game. They really have. The other team does have some more skilled players. They play in some stronger leagues with some some more skill sets there. But possession was almost all Panama. The first half, I think it was 57% possession. It was as high as 60 and 65% at one point. So Panama really is the one that's dictating the game. Now the second half, things might change a little bit. Maybe maybe their style was to let Panama do this and then come back in the second half. But there's a foul right there. That's a silly foul. These are the ones that if you can get Ghana to commit these silly fouls over and over, eventually the ref will be obligated to pull a card out and start dishing out some yellow cards. This year also another one of the rule changes is that once the group stage is over, all the yellow cards are rescinded. So you start clean slate, and then it goes until the quarterfinals. After the quarterfinals, again clean slate. So if you have any yellow cards at that point. What they don't want you to do is pick up a yellow card in the semifinal, and that accumulation causes you to miss the final, right? And so after the quarterfinals, everybody starts with a clean slate. Now, that being said, you get, you know, 2 yellow cards and a red card in the semifinal, you're out for the final anyway. But that's happened in the past in other tournaments as well, where somebody's had a yellow card in the first or second knockout round, they get another yellow card, they get like a third yellow card in the semifinals, and all of a sudden the final they're out. And they really, for the most part, played a clean tournament. So I like the way they do that. That every so many rounds or so many matches that they'll clean the slate up and start over for everybody. So it gives everybody a chance to have your best players out there. So, but we haven't seen a lot of that at all. In fact, I don't think I've seen a yellow card from this ref today. Nice. Look at that. A lot of red there. A lot of red, a lot of Panama flags, a lot of red, white, and blue. Very cool. Very cool to see. We've been to Toronto. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to go there. Excited to go and check out the city, check out all the. I have been watching a couple of vloggers and stuff that are in Toronto that have been there for a couple of weeks now. It's and this, from living here in Tampa, where we've had several Super Bowls, right? We've had several Super Bowls, we've had several Final Fours. The NHL Stanley Cups have gone all the way to Game Sevens and finals and whatnot. So, this city has hosted a lot of championships, a lot of big sporting events. But even with the Super Bowl, as big as the Super Bowl is, right? It's a whole week or 2 weeks of buildup and a lot of events and activities. It pales in comparison to the World Cup. The what I'm seeing already out there, and even just online, if you go to the FIFA's website and you go to all the different venues and facilities, the fan zones and stuff are incredible. And just throughout the city of Toronto, I've been watching a lot of videos and stuff. There's just all kinds of soccer related things to do all over the city. So, yeah, it's gonna be cool. That's why I'm arriving a day before the game and leaving a day after the game, so I can enjoy Toronto a little bit as well and some of that stuff. Plus, I'm getting in so late, and the game's at night. I don't want to go to that game, have a great time, and then early the next morning I have to head out to the airport. So we'll spend the day in Toronto there afterwards. Be home in time for the game on Saturday, the England Panama game. That one, it's one of those. Oh wait, here we go. Look at this. Panama's on your back. It's the other way around. That's right. That was the other direction. That was Ghana, and he just Semenyo just stroked the Panama defender off that ball. It wasn't even. It was like a child. He knocked off that ball. They are pushing though. Ooh, it's a dangerous cross there. Force the keeper to have to tip it out. Goal kick, nice. Okay. What else at the end of that? Yeah, I am impressed, guys. I am impressed with Panama. They're not showing the same dominance right now that they did in the first half, but I'm not seeing Ghana at all threatening them. And again, I am really surprised by that because Ghana has to be thinking the same way Panama does, that your next two games are against your toughest opponents, Croatia and England. And so this should have been the game that you would have thought Ghana came out guns blazing, and they really were, unless it really was just Panama outplaying them that well, which certainly could be the case, but it just seemed like Ghana has not been forcing the issue a lot. Second half, it looked like they're pushing a little bit more, but even here, it doesn't feel like they're the dominant team here at all. And if that's the case, if Panama can pull something off and get the points they need here, I don't see Ghana winning or even getting any points in their next two matches either. Certainly not against England, right? And so then the last game would be against Croatia. Croatia at that point would probably be desperate to get in. So I think Ghana would this is the game where they can score some points if they play it right. But so far, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all. There you go. I'm not throwing. Come on, get some possession, guys. Just build some possession. Don't let these guys start taking the game. Let's see that. 56 minutes, 57 minutes into the game, and still no score. But Panama has had the best chances, and there was that one non-call at the beginning, and seen the replay enough times. You have to see some other crazy replay that wasn't shown before to see if they could why there wasn't a call there. But it certainly looks like that should have been a PK. In fact, PK, and one could argue a red card. Right, the rule in FIFA when it comes to that red card on the attack there is if you are the last attacker. No, in other words, if you're attacking and you've gotten past the last defender and you get fouled from behind, not only is it a PK if it's in the box, but also the person that committed the foul gets a red card automatically. We saw that in the Mexico game on the first day, and that's a rule in FIFA because that's always I'll never forget. In fact, it was Manchester United that did it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was a striker, and the other team stole the ball, and the guy was going all by himself from like midfield, just dribbling down, and Solskjaer came from flying from behind and just whacked the back of his feet, and no intention of playing the ball at all, but just took the guy out. And they call those professional fouls. He took his card and walked away, but it prevented them from getting into a scoring situation. So that's what they've done now with that rule. It's saying, hey, you know what? If they're the last one to score, they got past all the defenders where it's clear that it's them and the goalie one on one, and you take them out, you're getting kicked out of the game. And it's a little hopeful there. Took a shot almost from midfield, thought to keep us out of position. Okay, good deal. Panama needs to really start picking up the pace now. They've got a half hour left in the game, plus any stoppage. They really got to get a goal. They really, really have to. I mean, you hate to say this, but based on who they play second game and third game, this is a must-win for Panama. Right? If they're going to get out of the group, I think it's a safe bet that England will have probably at least 7 points, if not the full 9 points in this group. Right? Their toughest game was Croatia, and they won that one handily. I don't think that they'll struggle with Ghana. I think they'll win that, so that's their game next week. So they'll go into the Panama game having 6 points now. Best case for Croatia is they would have 3 points. So I think England is in a position where they know that they. And again, there it is. Oh, outside of the net. Man, that was close. Wow, that was close. They are threatening. And Martinez, man, he's getting in there. Little miss kick there, but wow. Yeah, I think Croatia has 0 points, right? So they're going to go into their game against Ghana, actually against Panama, and if Panama can park the bus, force the action there, avoid giving up goals, maybe walk out with a draw, maybe walk out with a 0-0 draw like this game, and at that point, then Panama would, if they can pull a goal out of this game, they would be walking away with 4 points. Right? Croatia would have 3 points. England would have 6 points. So at that point, England is pretty comfortable to win the group. They may rest players for that third game and gives Panama a chance to, if nothing else, at least get a draw. Right? You would assume at that point, the third game, Croatia probably will beat Ghana. So Croatia would end up with 4 points. If Panama can get that 5th point, you know what? It's doable. I think it's doable, especially like the way things have opened up now. But it's all, it's all predicated on having a great game against Croatia. And Croatia's going to come back hungry, right? They're going to want to try and get back into this. Croatia knows that anything short of a win probably ends their World Cup in the group stage. So, they're going to come out and play this game to win. Hopefully Thomas Christensen understands that a team like that's backs against the wall, you may not want to go toe-to-toe with them. You may want instead to, try and just keep a clean sheet. Don't worry so much about scoring. Just don't let them score. If you do that, then you've got a good shot at coming out into the next round. That was a good attack there by Ghana. Took a shot outside of the net as well, though. That's something Panama's doing well. When they do get around them right here, this guy, this actually was a poorly taken shot, but Panama did recover. He slowed down on the end there. If he had pushed in, earlier today, if you watched the England game, Jude Bellingham had a play where he took the ball from the outside and he just outran the guy right into the goal and took a shot. It was a great goal. And this one looked like it could have been the same thing, but the guy slowed down to see who was going to help out and gave Panama a chance to recover. So kind of got lucky there, Panama, but watch out. Ooh, that's dangerous. Yeah, he been nice. Okay, go kick Panama. Okay, here's some changes. All right, what we got going on here? So number 24, we got Londoño coming in for Waterman. Okay, Londoño for Waterman. And Martinez is out as well. So, and he's bringing in Fajardo. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Are we playing for a draw here now? Is that what we're doing? So I'm not sure I like that. Hmm. Okay, well, they are bringing in fresh legs, but interesting. I mean, possession for Panama, 63%. You know, I don't. Gosh, I hope they're not going to do that. I would be really disappointed if they do that because they're playing a good game. They're not letting Ghana, you know, take their skill players up front and create some scoring opportunities. There again, right there, they just broke it up again. Let's see. We are going to see. Let's take a look. Oh, shot on goal. That was a nice shot. Went to the goalie though. Didn't really threaten him all that much, but you're getting shots on goal. You know, and the nice thing about those when you put those on, all of a sudden out of nowhere, you know, somebody else striker pops in and deflects a header in. You know, so it's just because it's an easy shot for the keeper to take. A lot of times you're creating opportunities for somebody else to get a header in there. Easy hit. All right, this is where Panama needs to be careful. That ball went all the way across that box, uncontested. Okay, there you go. Get it out of the cell. Good, good, good. Kind of needs to tighten things up. Kind of starting to look a little bit winded though. I think let them get a little bit more of that pressure like that, and I think eventually they'll be able to pull some of that out. Start pulling some of these guys, especially with some fresh legs here. Oh boy, that was close. That's your Premier League players picking up, but that was close. That ball went right across the box. Good defending, but oof, that could have been a goal right there. That could have been a goal. Yeah, okay, good job defending. It's a corner kick, but it's a great job defending. He did intercept the ball, did his job, but yeah, if that ball's a little bit more shallow, I think that I think Ghana might be able to score. Here's a corner now. I think it's the first corner I've seen Ghana take, at least in a while. No, they've taken a couple of them, but not a whole lot. That's how the Panama. So all that's for nothing if they put them on net here. Ghana, right? Got through again. Oh boy, that's a little bit of a silly play there by Panama. They didn't call it now, but if VAR reviews this, there might be an opportunity for a penalty here. I hope not. God, I hope not. But he just kind of ran into the player in the box. Just a shot on the goal again. Blocked by Panama. Now bring it out. Come on, Panama. Bring it the other way now. You got to stretch a little thin. It's been long enough now that if they do decide to review that, I'm not going to call anything back here. said, the game's been open up now for the last 25 minutes. Now it's going back and forth. So it's either sloppy passing or desperation. But oh, oh, what a great shot! Almost curled it in from about 18, 20 yards out too. Nice play. Okay, let's look at this replay here and see why. Oh, you know what? It's incidental, but he did step on his foot way in the box too. Wow. Are they reviewing this? No, they're going to water break. Okay. Man, we dodged a bullet there. If they don't come back and call that, I think at this point maybe they've decided not to because I think they would have made that decision by now. But he definitely stepped on him and it was way in the box. So I'm not sure how they didn't call a penalty on that. But okay. So water break, and then we will have the last, 20 minutes of the game plus any stoppage time to decide this. I think if either one of these teams scores, the other team can kind of assume that they're, barring some kind of a miracle, their tournament's probably going to be over because this, again, guys, is the must-win game for both of these teams. Both these teams came into the World Cup thinking of our three games, our first game is our easiest one, right? Your next two games are Croatia and England, and the other team is England and Croatia. So this is the game that you have to win to try and hopefully advance. The other thing to keep in mind, there's with the expanded number of teams now, right? There's 48 teams now in the World Cup. So what they do is they take the top two teams in each group, right? And then they take of all your third place teams of all the groups, they take the 8 best ones based on record, goal difference, etc. And they also make it into the knockout stage. So, even third place can help. But third place, I'll tell you where you'll probably more than likely get a third place team out of is, for example, which one is it? Well, that Brazil, Morocco, Scotland might be one because right now Scotland's leading that group, right? Brazil and Morocco tied. So you could have 3 teams that are all with great records. And so one of those will be the third place team that probably will make it through. I think in the yes, the Sweden, Japan, Netherlands, Tunisia. I mean, that really, any one of those 4 teams could win that group. That's how tight it is, except Tunisia. I guess Tunisia got their butts kicked. In fact, that's Tunisia, their manager, very next day or that evening, he got dumped. He got fired. He didn't even last through the group stage. He got fired. So, but they did bring in the manager who managed Saudi Arabia last World Cup that beat Argentina in that first game. So they're hoping that he'll pull that same kind of a miracle coaching job with Tunisia and get them back on top. But Netherlands, the Dutch obviously are a great team. Japan showed they got a lot of skill. That was a really, really good game, that Japan Netherlands game. And then Sweden, they shellacked Tunisia. They look really good out there. So that you could certainly see a third place team coming out of that group. Let's see where else. Norway, France, Senegal. You might see one there. Norway's looking good with Erling Haaland. Not a fan of him because of obviously I'm a Man United fan and he's a Man City player, but the guy's just an absolutely beast of a player. And then France and Senegal are great teams, so we definitely will see a third place team come out of there. And then probably again, you might see one come out of our group. So Panama. This is why this game is so critical, guys. This is why this game is a must-win for Panama, because the way the groups are set up, Panama could be, if they don't make it as one of the top 2, they could be that third place team of those 8 teams. So, but you're never going to do that unless you get at least 3 points in one game. So, okay, I see now the game's opening up. Now there's another shot on goal by Ghana. So they're starting to pick the pace up on their side as well. I think both teams are recognizing that. And maybe this was their strategy all along was, let's try and really, go full speed the last 20, 30 minutes of the game and see if we can't pull out a win there. Ghana has some good individual players, some skilled players. Like I said, those guys up front, these guys, they play in the Premier League. Gordon Ayew and Antoine Semenyo, they play in top teams in the Premier League. They're very skillful players. If you can get those guys in that box one-on-one with somebody, that's a good opportunity for them. So, they're relying on that. And as you can see now, they're playing a much better possession game than Panama is. So it's an interesting call there. There's a yellow card. Interesting. Yeah, I kind of think it's probably the right play. He was beat, and he grabbed the guy and pulled him back down. Be careful doing that, man. You get close to that box there. It's a dangerous area. But yeah, he should have broken down better as he approached that guy. He got suckered into that as soon as he made his move. He got back outside. You can't argue that yellow card. Okay, this is where things get dangerous. This is where they really got to tighten up. Really got to keep that ball out. 72nd, 73rd minute of the game. So there's about 15 minutes plus stoppage time. About 20 minutes left in this game. Hasn't been a lot of stopping in the second half, so far so good. Not like the first half. All right, this little guy, Jordan Ayuso. He's going to be putting a nice cross in there. Oh, he got a header on that ball. He just missed the corner there. Oof. Dodge the bullet there, guys. Dodge the bullet. All right, bueno. Come on, Panama. Tighten things up. Okay, still, good ball of field. I have noticed they haven't brought in Carrasquilla, so there was that rumor that his injury, he wasn't 100%, and so they said he wasn't going to start. And then there was rumors that TC said that the whole squad is healthy, but I got to believe that if he was healthy enough to play right now, he'd be on that field. He is the playmaker of that squad, so he's not there now. Taking this cross. Better than that. Come on. Wasted opportunity, man. Wasted opportunity. Okay. Well, another change here for Panama. Okay. So, Rodriguez is going out. And who's coming in? Ismael Diaz. Okay. All right. Let's see what they have. Just keeping attackers in there, but it just seems like right now in the midfield is where Panama's now losing possession. And which is that's pretty standard in soccer. Your midfield is the ones that control the ball and control play for it. So if midfield wins the game, or wins possession, they can usually dictate the pace of the game. But 15 minutes, see what happens. We're not seeing any more changes from Ghana right now. We'll see what happens to the last part there. But the team they have right now seems to be working good. They're putting a lot more shots on goal, creating a lot more opportunities. Now it seems like Panama is just trying to hang on. So hopefully there these couple of changes here will help out. That's a long pass. Okay. Gain possession. Okay. Holding on to possession. A little sloppy, but they're keeping possession. Okay. Keep going to that right side. They want to bring it across him somehow. Oh, come on. That's a four. Okay, come on. Do better than that. All right. Keeping possession still. Good job, Panama. 70 something. Another ball in. Oh, almost. A little bit high, but nice look. It was a nice look for Panama. That's a shot on goal. The pass would really be a shot on goal. Okay. Well, let's see what they're going to do here, guys. We've got 15 minutes of good, hard play. We're probably going to get about 2 or 3 minutes of stoppage time unless something else happens, but that's a foul. There you go. So fun. These guys sometimes whenever you talk to a non-soccer fan about them rolling around on the ground and whatnot. And yes, the South Americans have perfected the art of rolling on the ground. I mean, these guys can roll 4 or 5 minutes. They're like tumbleweed. But the flip side of that, if you've ever played soccer, even as a kid, right? you get a crap kicked out of you. Now imagine you're getting kicked by a guy that weighs 220 pounds. He kicks a soccer ball for a living as an adult, and they give you a good whack on that ankle. Let me tell you what, that'll drop the biggest of men, right? And so, then they get up, 2 minutes later, like everything's fine. Well, let somebody come up and kick you, man, and see how long you're down, because you are going to be down for a while. When you get up, you're going to be fine. But for that few moments, man, it is extremely painful. It really is. And it always cracks me up that when you, especially like I said during World Cup, when you get a lot more people watching the game that are not regular fans. Like, look at that, he's in all this pain, and now look at him, he's running around 2 minutes later. Well, take a good whack at your ankle, like somebody with a pair of cleats like that, and see what happens to you. So it is painful, and the amazing thing is that in soccer, even at the professional level, they have rules regarding the fact that you must wear shin guards. It's absolutely mandatory, but there's no regulation on the size. And you see some of these guys. There's the guy that plays for Aston Villa, a guy named Jack Grealish. And I mean, this guy does not like to wear shin guards. And you see the ones he wears, he might as well have taken two little, I don't know, Pop Tart boxes and cut them out and stuck them in there, because they're just the tiniest little nothing there. He's like, hey, I'll take the beating, man, but I don't want to wear something that's uncomfortable like this. There's no rule about the shin guards. Just must wear shin guards. So um, I got to imagine these guys at this level, their feet must be horrific, all bruised and banged all the time, especially after a long season, getting stepped on, kicked, and everything else. It's a hell of a way to make a living, man. But if you do it right, you can make a lot of damn money. So, anyhow, all right. Well, listen, it's 10 minutes left. It's still 0-0. It's not the worst result for Panama, but like I said, Panama would be hard pressed to get any more than 1 point more out of this tournament in the first round. I think, just based on who their opponents are, and even that's going to take work. Let's be realistic. Croatia, maybe they've been kicked in the nuts this afternoon, but they're not out. They're not out by any stretch. Okay, and so the game on Tuesday is going to be a difficult game for Panama. They're going to really have to be disciplined. They're going to really have to try and avoid any errors at all, because Croatia, regardless of age and whatnot, they have a lot of skilled players. Luka Modric is just there's another one, 6 World Cups. Right? This guy's won everything. He's just an absolute beast. And he didn't look like the same Luka Modric we've seen in the past, but he still can, look at Messi. Look what Messi did the other night. He's going to be 39 years old and just absolutely killing it out there. So, age isn't all that, but, sometimes that experience can help you. Right? It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a tough game for Panama. If Panama walks out with a 1 point out of that game against Croatia, I think that's a good game for them. Yeah, I'll take 3, but one is a good game for them. And come on, just get something out of this. 80th minute though, it's not looking good. Not looking good for a win, especially because Ghana's the one with possession now. Seems like Ghana's the one that's trying to create the opportunities, and Panama's just kind of hanging on. So, some folks have said that Panama's, being the oldest team in the tournament, might come back to haunt them. And maybe this is that case, But we have seen them making some substitutions, and they're not, due to injuries. They're bringing them in to bring fresh legs in. They're positional, players. It's position for position. Yeah. The last two has got to be Kadir. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of that here. Okay, no goals. You're going to hear a lot of, well, if Kadir was here, But the truth is, we haven't seen a lot of service to our forwards, right? We've seen some balls coming in from the wings, but we haven't seen a lot of service going in up to the front of the strikers and having to come in, which is how Kadir plays. Kadir is a big player. He's strong. He's fast. But he plays one of the styles that he plays that favors him because of his build is what they refer to as playing with your back to the goal. And what he does is he receives a pass, and then he'll either pivot with it or he'll hold somebody up and make a pass as people come in to support him. So, you know, that being the case, you didn't see a lot of that here to begin with. So I'm not sure that he would have been receiving a lot of balls to play and impact the game anyway. But it's all speculation at the end of the day. Nobody knows because it's all magic, right? Anyway, come on, Panama. There you go. Oh, that's a foul. I can let him play on. The advantage. Oh, nice ball. Nice ball. Poor pass. That's a poor pass. Come on. Come on. That's just a really poor decision to make a pass like that. Okay, let's play. That was Ghana ball. If anything, it's not a foul. It's a Panama ball. Okay. So, so they have something that this new stat that I see coming up called in Spanish "momento del partido," the moments of the game. And what it is, it's not strictly possession; it's possession in the other team's attacking area. And Panama has a little bit more than Ghana, but what's really noticeable is that the second half, Ghana has a lot more opportunities. That's the scary part because they're starting to really press when it really matters the most. At the end of the game, because with a low scoring game, you almost have to assume that whoever scores, is really in the driver's seat. And certainly late in the game, Ghana gets a goal here. I'm not seeing where Panama's really able to do anything with it since they're not hardly able to maintain possession at all now anyway. You know, Conversely, if it goes the other way, it's same thing, right? Ghana has not really shown, a whole lot in tonight's game. They're playing certainly a better second half, but they're not showing to be a threatening team. If anything, I'll tell you who's enjoying this game right now is England and Croatia for that matter. Because Croatia think, okay, these are maybe 6 points I can get from these two, and England's going, okay, yeah, these are easily 6 points for us. So, and certainly as fans of Panama, we remember at the 2018 World Cup, Panama did play England, and it wasn't a good score, but nonetheless, this is a different team now, and we'll see. Yeah, they do have to take some shots. They do have to attack. Panama has to get possession back. Right now, they have parked the bus there. If you count them right, they've got 5 in the back. They've got 4 there. They really have everybody back, right? They're hoping that maybe they get something on a breakaway, kind of like right here. But they're going to have to learn to do something here because, see, they're trying to play a possession game now, and it might be too little, too late. I hate to say it. Come on, Pat. Do something with this now. Build it up. Build it up. Okay. So you're not making those runs on the out wings like they did before. Okay, that's a decent ball in. Just didn't really play right. There we go. Okay. Thought he was going to do a bicycle kick here for a second. Like they say, la chilena. But he didn't do that. Steady up and spinning around and to scuff the ball. Okay, so now Ghana's playing some long ball here. This is where Panama needs to recover it and then make some attacks. They're trying to keep possession, and I get that, but here's what they're trying to do. When you see a team doing that, what they're doing here, right? They stop and they're going to go back again. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? They're wanting Ghana to come up and press them, because the guys that used to come up and press them, people behind them have to fill in those gaps. And conversely, it starts opening up the field. That's what they're trying to do here. But Ghana's not biting. They're both thinking right now, don't give up the goal. And while it makes sense to be pragmatic like that, you gotta get a goal. This is your chance to get the goal. Your chance to make a difference in this tournament is in this game. And I just don't see. Certainly, Panama doesn't have that urgency anymore. It looks like Ghana does to a certain extent, but I don't think they have the players to do it. Disrupt and keep going there. This is truly where they're missing Carrasquilla, okay? Because he really is that guy that can dictate play, that guy that can force the action, force the other teams to occupy space and find that open play. They're definitely missing that now. Even in the first half, with all the dominant play they had, They didn't have anybody that really put them in a position to threaten. They had a couple of shots on goal, but nothing that they would say, "Wow, these guys, it's just a matter of time before they drop it in." But oh, that's a nice try there. But man, gotta follow through, man. Keep your head down. Come on. Yeah, overall, I think Panama, if it stays as a scoreless game, I think Panama will end up being a little bit disappointed, especially having had the possession they had. There goes Jordan Ayew. He's a good player. He almost had a goal earlier in the game. Almost had a goal on a beautiful pass, but didn't make it. Yeah, yeah. I think Panama is going to look back at this game and they're going to rue the opportunities they had in the first half and they didn't capitalize on. So one more game left tonight, and then all the groups first round is finished. So match day 2 starts tomorrow. So far, it's been a great tournament. There's some upsets. There's some expected games, some blowouts. I didn't expect Germany to score 7 goals, but first time that they've done that either. Remember they did that to Brazil in the World Cup, which is unbelievable. Even to say it's a shock that they just completely destroyed Brazil. But yeah, they scored seven goals against Portugal Curacao. They were so excited too. They scored that goal in the first half to tie the game, and really for the first half, it really was anybody's game. Right? Germany had a little bit more possession, but they couldn't really finish it. And then look at this guy. And then the second half, they just it's God Almighty, it was an awful play, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? Spain, horrible play, horrible. There was a guy on the Spanish team that went 30 minutes on the field, 30 minutes without touching the ball. Think about that. Think about that. That's almost an entire half without touching the ball. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Thank you. Nice stop. Great save. Great save. I thought that was a goal for sure. Thought that was a goal. Oh, and he called him offsides on top of that. When they counted anyway. It's a great save, though. It was a great save because he should have finished that one off. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's offsides. Offsides by about a foot. But yeah, he should have taken that outside. Great save, though. Great job. Sure you get a call there. Take it. Right. Another sub here. Okay, so Blackman is coming out, and Aníbal Godoy is coming in. Okay, he plays in San Diego. He's a veteran on the team. He's got a lot of pedigree there. Hopefully, he can make a difference here. Or are we again at this point? Are we making sure we don't lose the game because Ghana has had possession here? They definitely have been the better team in the second half, without a doubt. And ultimately, I think they will go down as having more shots on goal towards the end. Um, Not necessarily quality, but definitely more shots on goal. But I think the possession is still. Uh, I think possession still is going to go to. Yeah, they had earlier. They had 63%. 63% possession. It's great, but you can't put the ball in the net. It's all for nothing. All right, we're in the 91st minute now, guys. Come on, Panama. All right, we got a quarter for Panama. Come on. Oh my gosh, if they can score here, that'd be fantastic. That would be absolutely fantastic. Come on, Panama. Here we go. Corner kick, 92nd minute, 0-0. Come on, Panama. Get on the board right here. Get those 3 points in. Get ready for Croatia. Okay. Okay, forward. Okay, come on, Panama. Come on, Panama. Come on, Panama. Here it comes. No. Well defended. Panama keeps possession. Oh, that's a foul. How's that not a foul, man? Okay, maybe he slipped. He ain't complaining, so it wasn't a foul. I think. Okay, now here comes Ghana going the other way. Well, Panama gets it back. There you go. One possession. Come on. Yeah, someone said earlier that Panama played sloppy. Not the first half they did. First half they looked really good, but the second half they are starting to look a little bit sloppy. It's typically that's mental errors. That's when you're starting to get tired. Those are 30-year-old legs starting to do that. Okay, they're into the second, they're in the third of 6 minutes of stoppage time. So let's see what happens. 3.5 minutes left. Ghana's got the possession. So go. Okay. So you back to the pool. Come on, Panama. Gain possession now. Just keep flicking the ball. Right there. Just pull the ball down. Okay. Here we go. Like last 3 minutes or so. Throwing for Ghana. See, now you can really see those tired legs. You can really see the second step, right? The other team takes the first step, and Panama takes the second step, right? And that's always, you'll start noticing on what they call the 50-50 ball, right? When the ball's in the middle there and both guys are going to it, and you just one step or a half a step behind each time, and that's when the legs start to go, right? It's that age signal. But nonetheless, they are pushing here. Come on, Panama, here you go. Opportunity here. Okay. Nobody there. God almighty. How do you make a cross if there's nobody there? Nice ball, too. Okay. Speed there. Ooh. There it is. There it is. Gosh, darn it. It's those tired legs, man. Goal for Ghana in the 4th minute of stoppage time. Aye. That's frustrating now. That's really, really frustrating. Yeah, here's the replay. Yeah, he's on side. No doubt about it. And that guy, don't leave really. That's right there. That's poor play. You know. Wow. What a disappointment. What an absolute disappointment. So late in the game. Gosh darn it. So late in the game. That's brutal. That is a gut punch right there, man. Freaking gut punch. Mm, darn it. Darn it. Okay, well, they've got about 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes to try and do something, try and pull a goal back if you can, but come on. Opportunities lost, guys. Opportunities lost. What's that all about? Wow. Gosh almighty. What a gut punch, man. What an absolute gut punch. All right. Well, come on, Panama. Do something here if you can. This is what you call parking the bus now. Ghana's going to put everybody in the back. Come on, hurry up, Panama. You can throw a long ball into the box. Okay, Panama. Yep, he called a foul. Okay, all right. Okay, it's a dangerous area. Come on, Panama. Might as well bring a keeper out there too. You got nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. The score is 1-0 Ghana. They scored in the fourth minute of stoppage time. They just scored. Look, Panama brought their keeper in as well for this foul. They're going to foul just outside of the box. Come on, it's a cross. Come on, Panama. Oh, the keeper got his head on it. Oh, there it is. Oh! Oh, boy. Oh, they're going to bust out with the fight now. There you go. Throw a red card out there. Throw a red card out there. Go ahead. Throw him out of the game. Got to be somebody from Ghana. There they go. There they go. Look at that ref. He's just standing on watching. And unfortunately, I think this hurts Panama more so because as this starts to happen more and more, the rest is going to want to end the game. Now you're giving a yellow card to the Panama player. Now he's going after somebody else. Oh, what a shame, man. They played such a good game to start it off. And then the keeper got a header on it, bounced it around, but it wasn't to be. Not meant to be. And then they started getting all the rumbling and stuff. Okay, well, let's see what the call is here. I'm assuming it's a foul on Panama as soon as this guy starts his show. Let's see what happened to that keeper. Oh, he got kicked. Oh, come on. Come on. Whatever. So he got a yellow card for kicking the keeper. That's weak. But anyway, okay. Here's what it is. So we're into the 11th minute now. It's probably going to be at least 2 minutes because that whole corner thing happened with about 2.5 minutes left, stoppage time. So it's got to take all that into account. Gosh, they should have won. They should have at least gotten a draw. Look at this guy now. Yeah, of course you're okay. Bummer. What an absolute bummer. So Ghana's going to get the goal kick. Let's see how much time they're going to let him keep playing. It's 10:47 of stoppage time. Should go to at least the 12th minute, you would think. But Panama needs to get the ball back first and foremost. That's a foul. All right, switch it over. Bring that. Remember that long ball? Come on. Possession because he got no left foot. Yeah, it's going to do that. They're going to take their sweet time here. See? That's it. That's the game. Bummer. 1-0 Ghana. 94th minute. Stoppage time. Missed opportunities, guys. Okay. Panama had a great, great first half. Took the game to them. Created opportunities. Second half let them back in the game, but at the end there it was unlucky, really. I mean, really just unlucky, maybe you could say, old age, long legs, or whatever. But they seem like that last few minutes uh, kind of really, really put it on. So anyhow, all right. Well, it is what it is. This is the end of the first match day one for our group, but more to come next week. So I'm leaving Sunday night, going to Toronto. Going to watch the Panama Croatia game. Um, got a hill to climb there, but it can be done. Again, Panama does look like a good team. I like what I'm seeing there. We just got to tighten up a few things. We did miss Carrasquillo. I think when he comes back in, hopefully for the next game, it'll make a difference. It is definitely a must-win now for sure. It's not even a draw anymore. Panama needs a win in order to try and get out of this group. 1 point is not going to be enough. I think 1 point is about the best they'll be able to do with England. So even that's a stretch. So they really need 3 points on Tuesday next week. So anyhow, 1-0 Ghana. Good try, Panama. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you guys probably tomorrow. I'll get on and talk some more World Cup. I'm gonna try and do a short video every day if I can to start recapping some of the games. Because listen, outside of this disappointment that Panama lost, so far really really enjoying the World Cup. Some great matches. You've seen some fantastic scoring. Leo Messi. I mean, this guy's just incredible. I mean, right now, the whole argument of the GOAT between him and Cristiano Ronaldo. Heck, it may turn out to be the argument between him and Mbappe or something, right? Or Holland, but Messi, my God, a hat trick at 38 years old, phenomenal. So a lot of great games. Enjoy the World Cup, guys. We will chat again soon.